Hello friends, I have been posting a ton about Old Bedford Village. I love getting back there. I grew up in Bedford and this was a favorite spot that I went to for field trips and just growing up. And I grew up in a family that makes things. Like everybody in the family makes something, whether it's quilts or knives or canning and sewing clothes and all that kind of stuff. So this is something that just feels like home. When I go to Old Bedford Village and I get into that old-fashioned maker spirit and, things done by hand, it feels like home. It is home because it's Bedford, but it feels like home. The other thing that I did growing up was we went to reenactments. My dad loved the Civil War. And so we went out to Gettysburg whenever they would have big events. We would get to see these battles. We would get to see the living history. I've always been fascinated with it. And it kind of inspires me to dig a little deeper. When I went to Old Bedford Village, I filmed the village before. I'm working on a painting currently of it. Let's see if I can scroll down here and get to it. I'm working on a painting of the village, and I wanted some footage to go along with that. But I also wanted to show the other things that they do. Like when you go to the village, they have taken all of these buildings from all over the county. Bedford's really a historic hotspot. George Washington was there. The Revolutionary War was there. So they took all of these buildings, relocated them into a little village. Living historians, the reenactors come and show you how this or that worked, how they made the tin cups, or how they spun the yarn, or how they worked with the forge, or took care of the horses, or baked, or whatever. It's such a neat experience. You walk across the little bridge after you go through the visitor center, and you just step back in time. And you can't help but catch the maker spirit. So I went and I was able to get really up close and see the drills before the battle. I got to film the battle. I got to film a bunch of interviews with the reenactors and hear more of the behind the scenes and the history and the little facts that you don't read in the history books, but somebody studies. And I just got so excited. So I want to show you a book that I have read numerous times. It's called No Idle Hands, The Social History of American Knitting, and it gets into all of these different aspects of knitting through history. One of them being knitting through the wars and what the women did to support the men who went to war, whether they were North, South, Revolutionary War, later in the World Wars, all these kinds of things. The men were not issued socks back then. They don't have factories to turn them out. They were beginning, by the Civil War, they were beginning to have sock machines that were like, let's see if I can show you, hand crank sock knitting machine is going to look like this. So those were starting to be invented in the Civil War, but most people did not have them. They knit by hand. And so the soldiers would be given their yarn and expected to knit while they marched in between battles and to knit their socks. And as you can imagine, those socks would wear out pretty quickly. So the women would knit during church while they walked to town. When they were, sitting in groups, they had all kinds of specialty groups. If you didn't know how to knit, you were taught to knit. The kids were taught to knit in school. The boys even, back then it wasn't a boy thing, but, they taught the boys to knit. And I guess it was a boy thing to a degree because the soldiers were taught to knit as well, just to be able to produce their own socks while they were on march. But it was a big effort to produce the socks and the scarves and the mittens and all of the hand knit things that they needed while they were marching and while they were fighting. I have always wanted to knit a pair of socks, and I think now is the time. So with that in mind, I came back, and this morning, I flipped open Facebook and I saw Harrisburg Area Yarn Crawl, and it was the first annual, and I'm like, ooh, that's why I haven't heard of it before. It's the first one. But it was this past weekend while I was at Old Bedford Village. So I was sad about that, but I started looking into the yarn stores. I called one of them. I called You and Me. yarn shop down in York, Pennsylvania, and they told me about the 2026 Pennsylvania Yarn Quest. It goes for months. It is a yarn shop hop, yarn crawl that is all over Pennsylvania. And what do I love more than travel and knitting and painting and filming? So guess what? You're coming along with me. I am going to visit as many of these shops as I can. I am going to find the perfect blue and gray yarn. And why blue and gray? Because half my family's from Tennessee, the other half's from Pennsylvania. Can't really pick a side. So I'm going to make blue and gray socks to commemorate America's 250th and to also recognize the Civil War is a huge part of our history and the maker spirit of America. So come along with me as I visit all these yarn shops and we have some fun knitting. I can't wait.